All right, everyone. Well, we are not going to be too long. So hi, everybody. Maslib AZ is coming to you live tonight. As many of you who've been following us know, we have been pushing for prosecutor accountability, especially here in Maricopa County, where we have been engaged in the campaign of accountability with Maricopa County Attorney Allister Adel through scandal after scandal since 2020. And today we saw some really big news break that we thought all of you who have been following this campaign should know about, be updated about. Let us just say that the dumpster fire that is Maricopa County Attorney's Office is only getting worse. Again, just to set a little bit of context, right? Maricopa County Attorney's Office is the largest feeder of our people into our incarceration system. And again, we live in Arizona, 6th largest incarcerator in the country. And so we understand, right, the impact that this office has had in so many of our communities and the violence that it's inflicted. It's real clear that the choices of this county attorney, Allister Adel, have been particularly egregious in all of this work that you all have been following. And yet, even though she's the most powerful office in our entire system of incarceration, her office has been reduced to, again, scandal after scandal surrounding her leadership. There is zero reason for any of us, for any of the public, to have any confidence in this office or that to have any credibility in her leadership. And so Lola, real quick, as we get started, before we get to the big scandal of today, can you just share with everybody joining us today how we got here and who is responsible, right, for reducing the most powerful office in incarceration here in Arizona to this, this sideshow?
Yeah, for sure. Thanks, Joe. It's been a long road, and we're going to keep pushing. Our work is part of a national movement for prosecutor accountability, not to be confused with progressive prosecutor movement. And our prosecutor accountability movement is led mostly by Black directly impacted abolitionists who've been doing this work for years. We wouldn't be here without the protesters who marched for Black life in solidarity with Maslib and our local movement over the summer, and showed up and pushed back against the political prosecutions that they faced, were aimed by them directly by Allister Adel and her office. Also, there were some amazing attorneys. Some of you are on this call right now, or on this live right now. Shout out to all the amazing attorneys who chose to follow the leadership of directly impacted and Black folks, to show up in true solidarity to lift up this work, and the continued coverage by reporters who were finally publicly asking the difficult questions that we've been asking all along. So these are the people who made this happen. It's the movement that made these wins possible, even before today. And there is a long list of wins, and I'm just going to touch on just a couple of them. 414 protest charges dropped, 163 serious felony cases dismissed, and that's a lot of our people who've been saved from the system. And it was when the community came together and pushed for that. It wasn't because MCAO, by its good graces and sense God gave them to be able to figure out this wasn't the right thing, right? This was the community mobilizing. The MCAO's First Responders Bureau was disbanded. This is the bureau that Allister Adel's pet that she created in 2019 specifically to target protesters, disbanded. 4 independent investigations, and so many high-level resignations, and they keep coming. There's $129+ million in lawsuits as well.
So that is, the proverbial shit show that we are coming to. So what happened today? Got some big news today coming off a big week of news that had happened already. So can we get a little bit of insight on what broke?
Yeah. Maslib called for Adel's resignation back in September of 2020. So and it was after over a year of public pressure. And since then, we've seen a steady barrage of leaders join the call for that resignation. So now members of her own camp are joining, and that's really what we're seeing in the last 2 weeks. Rick Romley, who is a former county attorney, in fact, prosecuted me, and is Adel's mentor, joined the calls last week. Her chief communications officer resigned just a few days ago due to a highly dysfunctional leadership of Adel and a highly dysfunctional relationship. And according to her high-level leadership team, that this comms director was escorted off the premises for disagreeing with Adel.
People jumping ship left and right.
Toxic. And And most recently, 5 division heads at MCAO called for her resignation, stating that she wasn't doing her job and she could not be trusted. And Black people have been knowing about this whole mess for a long time, but finally, at least some of her staff and folks from her camp are willing to say it publicly. But it's important that we recognize this message comes late and it's not enough.
Absolutely. Absolutely. For those of you who haven't done it, again, we encourage you to read some of the stories and the headlines that came out, especially today, about some of the stuff Lola had mentioned. It included, right? So if her executive team just sent out a letter calling for her resignation, what also came out today was her response. I don't know if some of you had a chance to read her response, but all I could hear as I read her response was Amanda Seale's voice saying the caucasity of this woman. So if you haven't read it, please read it. But basically it says that, yes, there were just 5 staff, let alone it's her executive staff, right? So just 5 staff out of 1,000 who feel this way about her. And although she respects their opinion, she has no plans of resigning whatsoever. I think she characterized, like all of these allegations, letter, as like a distraction.
Yeah. You're right, Joe. Adele released a statement that effectively says that she's not going anywhere, dismissing the written by the leaders that she chose to run the most important divisions of that office. Those 5 division directors are people that she chose. And so it's outrageous that she would dismiss the judgment of the most powerful prosecutors in the office. And they're people who she believes can judge the community, but she's above that accountability herself. There's a list of issues that are coming out of Maricopa County Attorney's Office, from political prosecutions to corrupt prosecutors who lie and collude with Phoenix PD, First Amendment violations that the DOJ is here investigating. And like I mentioned before, over $129 million in lawsuits, mass resignations, and Adele is drinking while working and lying about dates and her involvement in all of these scandals. If you watch and you just read some of the media coverage, you'll see that she'll say one thing one week, and then the next week she'll say something completely different. And when the media holds her accountable, she's MIA. Just last week, a news story. So not even the political prosecutions, not the stuff that everybody in our community is really familiar with, but also a story broke about how Allister Adel was recruiting and protecting a former corrupt Maricopa County Superior Court judge that is now one of her prosecutors. So ABC 15's Dave Biscobing reported that Judge Erin Otis and her staff, while she was a judge, was mocking and ridiculing people during hearings and trials. And they were doing it by routinely emailing each other cruel and obscene statements, jokes, and memes. These are on capital cases. These are death penalty cases that they were doing it. And the information just gets more and more bizarre as we watch this story unfold. And then Otis resigns during an official investigation of her judicial conduct, and Adele helps recruit her so that she can be hired at the MCAO. So again and again, you see Allister Adel has no interest in integrity, no interest in truth. She operates like she's untouchable, and she's completely above accountability. And so it's time that the community hold her accountable, every single last one of us.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think not a lot of people understand how much power this office has to do significant harm, to do violence in our community. And it's like, again, right? Well, where is the means of accountability? How is this supposed to work? Like, who is supposed to be the checks and balance to this office? Who should be the ones, right, being responsible in this moment and checking in? Who should those people be?
Yeah, I mean, the agency that has direct oversight over the county attorney's office and their budget specifically, is the Board of Supervisors. So after this letter came out last night, where her high-level staff that she suddenly doesn't respect wrote that she needs to resign, after that letter came out, we decided to launch a public campaign to pressure the Board of Supervisors to join for Allister Adel to immediately resign and to hold her effectively accountable. And today, instead of doing what was right and demanding Adele resign, based on all of our phone calls, they decided to do this investigation that they're launching by having an independent attorney come in and tell them effectively how they might be able to hold Allister Adel accountable, which I find really curious, right? Because It's been going on since 2020. And in fact, in 2019, even before she was even elected, the corruption has begun. People in her office who see it every day are reporting of the corruption going back that far. So it's really fascinating that the Board of Supervisors literally had no idea until now, and they need to hire independent counsel to tell them how to hold her accountable. That sounds to me like more gross incompetence.
Typical. So again, this is why we got movement. This is why we got all of y'all here joining us today. And again, thank you so much for being here. And so, Lola, what is it going to take? Right? How do we need to leverage our communal voice and our collective work in order to push this person out of office? What is it going to take?
It's going to take all of us. It's going to take all of us showing up in political solidarity with Black people. People who are tuned in right now, y'all know that. That's where you're at. You're here. You're here in solidarity with political solidarity with Black people. But it's us compelling folks who are not right now, some officials, people at our dinner tables. It's going to take all of us showing up in political solidarity with Black people. And if you work at the MCAO and you know who you are, like some of you are informing this movement and you know who you are, you need to tell her to her face. She literally said in her response today that only these 5 people feel this way, when we know it's the entire office. So tell her to her face. Tell her that you disagree with her. Tell her that she is not fit to do this job, and show her that she's wrong, that it's more than 5 people who believe this. It's delusional. And yeah, I guess there's a moment too that we need to talk about where calling for the resignation, if you're not doing that, if you're not actively using your body, your power, your position, especially white people, if you are not using your power to call for her resignation, then you're actually complicit. You are an accomplice to her work. Right now, we have got to stop what she's doing, and we've got to stop the bleeding. Our community is suffering. She's holding the office hostage, and we need to make sure that we're using every piece of the power, every piece of political power, institutional power, and body power we have to call for her resignation. So this is people in her office. We also need to focus on people from the Board of Supervisors. If you haven't joined the calling campaign, it isn't too late. Call them tomorrow. Keep calling them. Let's keep on calling them, tweeting and telling them exactly what we expect of them. Everyone who's watching this live, you can call for her resignation by tagging her. You can join our campaign. There are some beautiful graphics posted on our feed. There are phone numbers. It's really simple when you go to call the Board of Supervisors. There's a bit.ly link. I think we're going to get somebody. You're going to have to drop it into the chat. It's bit.ly/drop Adel BOS, all lowercase. And we'll make sure that you get it. If you don't get it here, you're going to get it from somewhere on our feed. There's beautiful graphics you'll be able to take a look at and see as well. Please call and share the post. Don't just use the post yourself, but share it. And just make it a point tonight when we're done, right here, right now, demand publicly that Allister Adel resign.
Thank you, Lola. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. This was fun. I enjoyed this. All right. One last thing, right? Board of Supervisors, we're all looking at you, and we should recognize everyone on the call. There's a meeting on the 22nd. They have a public meeting on the 22nd, right? Where you can make public comments. We've done that. A lot of folks have done that before. And so keep posted, right? We'll see. We'll keep monitoring, right, how the County Board of Supervisors responds. But, don't be surprised if we do a little call to action for the February 22nd meeting that is coming up. It may be a place to continue to push on these folks as we continue to hold Allister Adel and the Maricopa County Attorney's Office accountable. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining. We hope to see you again. Follow if you want to continue to see news for how to get involved in this resign or be recalled campaign. And we will talk soon.